How's it going, everybody?
Caleb, I know it's still your intention to come here and turn around the fortunes of this franchise and win multiple Super Bowls and individual accolades as well. But what do you know now after your first season about how much of a collective approach it takes from you and throughout the entirety of the organization?
Yeah, obviously you learn a little bit more about that. That everybody has to have the same common goal, and it has to be, timing has to be right. So I think those have been the two most important things that I've learned.
Talked last week and again last night about wanting to be challenged by whoever the next coach is. And Thomas was up here a little bit earlier saying that sometimes it can be difficult for certain coaches to challenge quarterbacks the way they need to be challenged. What would you express to whoever it is coming in here about how you would like to be challenged and what they need to do to bring the best out of you?
Yeah, I would just say, just challenge me. Whether it's pulling me aside, whether it's and saying whatever, or having talks consistently, or maybe not, or maybe having a list of things that we want to accomplish. Myself first, and then because that helps the team, and then from there, help find ways to set other goals and things like that. So however it may work out, just a challenge, and just to find ways to help better myself, but also better the team. And so really excited about that. But I would say any way, any shape, form. I don't have an issue with being challenged. I don't have an issue with speaking truth between the coach and I, or whoever it may be. And so just whichever way that happens, whichever way it shapes is the way it goes.
Caleb, last night you talked about how just like things that you want to work on in the off season and just for next year, whether it's on the field or off the field. You mentioned like maybe eliminating distractions, having fewer people around you. What did you learn about being the face of a franchise that goes beyond just like being a football player in between the lines?
Yeah, I'd say that this is playing quarterback in the NFL is fun as can be. It's the adrenaline, the time, effort, and energy that you put into it, and to have the chance to be able to go out there and execute and win games with guys that is doing the same thing, working out, working hard, showing up, and things like that consistently throughout the year, and to have that collective goal, and to be able to go out there and try and win the game. Like I said, have the opportunity to win the game is one of the best feelings that you can have. And so I'd say being able to have those moments, being able to understand what it takes to be in this position, understand that it's a tough job, understand that there's a lot at stake, being in this position of being a football player and trying to help turn things around. So I think there's been a lot of learning lessons. I think they were needed for myself, but also for this team, and can't wait for what's next.
So you're somebody now though about the magnitude of what's expected from you in this position that you didn't know coming in.
I knew that it was a big task at hand. I knew that were some of the things that I couldn't do from college, some of the things that I could do, a bunch of things that I needed to learn on and off the field, and I'd say there was more lessons this year, and I would say that I've had, and one of the things was all of the different things throughout the week that is needed to take for me to be able to go out there and play well, for the team to play well. It's something I learned early on, and finding ways to be better at those things throughout the year and the years to come.
Caleb, Thomas also said it's unrealistic to expect a quarterback in your position to come in and have all the answers.
Yep.
Was there more to learn here than you anticipated?
No,
So though, how well were you guided through that, given you were being coached by guys that were fired midseason?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. What was the first part of that one?
Was there more to learn here at
gotcha.
the NFL level than you anticipated?
No, I wouldn't say there was more to learn. I knew that there was going to be a lot that I had to learn in a fast amount of time to be able to go out there and play and try and play well, play efficient football, and try and win games. So I knew there was going to be a tremendous amount, and there's still a tremendous amount, and I'm really excited about that. And there's many things that throughout the season that I didn't know or didn't do well, and to be able to have the time now, and most of those things is things that I didn't know, and so to be able to have the time now to go back and look at myself, look at other QBs the way they've done it, and then also just sit down and get in the books and learn some of the things that I didn't know throughout the year, some of the things that I really want to know by next year to be able to help the team.
Were you coached well this year?
Was I coached well? I think I was coached well for the task at hand. I think coaches being fired, only being here for a certain amount of time, trying to build the relationship between the coaches. I think that's a challenge in itself to have different coaches throughout the season and different terminologies and the way they believe in stuff and trying to run somebody else's offense, things like that. So I think the collective or the overall part of the year. I'd say that I was, coach, well.
I know you're not gonna necessarily have a say in who the next coach is, but when you hear the names popping up about potential interviews, are you privately, when a name pops up, are you like excited about certain guys potentially coming in, and do you talk to your teammates about that kind of stuff?
I think no, not talking to the teammates about that stuff, just because we don't have any control over that, and so us talking about that, I don't think it does anything or waivers in that sense the decisions or pushes a decision in any way. And then the first part of that was what?
Do you personally, when you follow
Excited?
it, you get excited about certain, oh, look at that guy or this guy?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if somebody comes up, pops up that I've met before, known, or the track record has been pretty good. Obviously, you get excited about something like that, but not too much thought goes into it.
Caleb, you've talked about wanting to be pushed. Schematically, would you favor a coach who kind of leans into the things you consider yourself good at? Or somebody who maybe might be broader and ask you to do things outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I think both is a good balance. I think it's when the new coach gets hired, it's gonna be my second year, so there's gonna be things that I haven't done, things that will need to do for to have a long career, and so that's a part of the challenge is being able to fight the level of comfort, but also provide a new level of challenge. And that's bringing in new stuff that I haven't done, and that's also being able to help me, get more comfortable with those things that I haven't done, and then the things that I do well, be able to maintain and manage those, and be able to use those as my strengths.
How much pride do you take in?
On the slow starts? You guys not scoring a lot in the first quarter, a lot of 3-and-out start games. What part of that do you look at and say, this is what I'm accountable for and need to do better?
Yeah, I think execution wise, and I think it starts and started early on in the season, and being detailed, being able to go out there and execute the plays called.
Caleb, you talked yesterday about the kind of the maturation, the growth of being kind of deferential in your role as a rookie to being more assertive, perhaps in the future. What exactly do you think that entails? I mean, do you think that's like challenging teammates and just being more, just being more demonstrative and more demanding, or what? How do you think that will play out?
I think it plays into the knowing your teammates. I think it also to be able to do something like that, be able to take the next step in leadership and things like that. You gotta first know your guys, and also you gotta be on point each day. And so going through this first year, I knew that I was gonna have rookie mess ups, and things like that. So being able to sit back and learn the guys, being able to sit back and figure out what type of guy this guy may be, and how he responds to this, and how he responds to that, I think is going to be good for us next year.
Do you have a clear feel for how you can improve your deep ball accuracy? Do you have a feel at this point on how you can improve your deep ball accuracy for year two?
No, I haven't been able to go back and look at it yet, but I think it starts from detail between the receiver and I, and then from there, just technique and all of that, and then being able to just get on the same page early on. Find what type of throws and things like that the receiver can and cannot adjust to, or what he and where he likes the football to be thrown and things like that, and have a bit more opportunity to do that.
Caleb,
How much
what
pride
thoughts
do
do you have
take
on?
in starting? How much pride do you take in starting every game of the season? It's kind of rare to do that, and you took a lot of shots. So how are you able to do that?
I've said it many times before. Just the type of food, hydration, and sleep. Sleep towards the end of the season was big for me to be able to function overall, and then be able to recover as fast as possible.
What thoughts do you have on Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson is probably the favorite to get this job, one of the leading candidates for sure.
Yeah, I think obviously, even watching last night, knowing kind of what they're going to be in a certain situation, and being able to go out there and execute, like the pass they threw to Jameer on Van Ginkel. I believe I said his name right, but number 43 on the Vikings, the red zone. Just knowing that, how he's going to play it and things like that, and then go and kind of counter. I think he's done that all year, and I think it's been really cool to watch. I think during our game, I would sit back and watch, and just kind of watch and try and learn something or watch. And it was fascinating to watch because he always, like I said, he had wrinkles for counters and things like that throughout the game. And so I think he's obviously done really well, and so it'd be cool to see how that all goes down.
Caleb,
Obviously-
beyond
Obviously, this season has been super heavy for you, not just on the field, but off the field. So what are your emotions today? Like, as you clean out your locker, year one is done, you head into this important offseason.
Yeah, I don't think it's hit me yet. I think it probably hit me when I, fully packed the car and, roll out back home. And but I do know that it was, getting that win yesterday was big, at least for me, just because, you never know who's going to be here. You never know, how long somebody's going to play, and things like that. So being able to get that win and, in the season with a win was big, at least for me internally, just because of like I said, the guys, they've been great, to be honest. They've been awesome in that locker room, and so to be able to end with a win versus Green Bay was like I said, couldn't ask for a better way, because we've been through a good amount this year, and to be able to go out there and fight and come out with the win, and do it the right way was really cool to see, and really cool to be a part of, and kind of important, I would say, to me. So yeah, the Bears.
All right, so kind of recapping some stuff I said yesterday. I was excited for that locker room, the feeling of winning again, the feeling of a couple firsts, beating the Packers in a while, first win of the year. But one that kind of just made a point of emphasis of allowing those guys to finish the right way, right? So we talked about the night before in the team meeting about a couple of things that, kill success, are enemies of success, which ease is one of them, or the desire for things to be easy. So difficult game, kind of endure some difficult moments throughout this year. So it's good to be able to see those guys persevere and come through and, capitalize on some opportunities. Even at the end of it, just how it ended, just to still believe the same mentality. And so excited for the group, obviously excited for organization as well. And now having an opportunity to meet with those guys one-on-one for the most part throughout the day. Haven't obviously gotten to the whole roster yet, but about maybe a third of the way through, maybe less than that. But just to be able to give those guys feedback on what I felt about the season for them individually, but also advice moving forward, regardless of how it shapes out, just for them, their development, their growth in the game of football. But what I care probably the most about is just their development and growth in life. Questions?
Ryan said yesterday that you're going to interview for the job. Do you know what day you're going to do that?
I do not yet, no.
wanna stress to him and Kevin, George, anything about what you've done the last 5 weeks and why you'd be the best candidate for the job?
Yeah, well, I think having a chance to lay out my whole vision, the plan I have for this football team moving forward is going to be part of it. But I think them having a chance to see me in the building, something that to me should be more impressive than everything else. The situation I kind of had a chance to take over, having 3 different jobs in the same season, which I'm not sure that's happened before in the history of football. It may have been. I might be being dramatic, but you guys can Google that and look at it, which I haven't heard of it. But I think just the approach that I've had every single day in the building, the mentality I brought to the group, and I understand the results that we're all hunting up. I understand the expectation as far as everybody assumes stuff gets changed because you snap your fingers. That is not how change happens. Change happens over time. I think oftentimes when you're making radical changes, things get worse before they get better. But I think just being able to have him be in my meetings, see how I conduct myself in a team meeting, see myself at practice with as far as how I am with the group, should be more beneficial than anything else. But it's going to be just more about myself, my personality, but also the plan for this organization.
Thomas, how challenging was the situation you walked into for you personally, knowing it was not something that you had set up all the pieces in place with staff and the way things had gone, and you inherited a team that was, I can't remember the exact record at the time, maybe 4-7 or something, a team that was really in bad shape.
Yeah, so it was challenging, but I learned a lot more about myself this year, and I've probably grown more as a coach this year than the last maybe 2-3 years combined, just because of having to wear 3 different hats in the same building, and also have to adjust and adapt on the fly, which is a desired trait you should have or want to have to be in this position, because the game is ever evolving, ever changing, and it's never consistent as far as what may happen from day to day. But also having a chance to learn on the fly, adapt on the fly, and make adjustments on the fly when it comes to how you communicate with players. They also being able to offer myself in a different light. And you go from being in the back of the quarterback room as a pass game coordinator to being the coordinator to being the head coach. Gives you a different perspective as far as how the group views you, but also give a glimpse of what it looks like when you have an opportunity to do it the right way from the beginning. So difficult, 1,000%, probably more so than people are willing to admit, and will ever put themselves in a spot to have to actually ever do. But difficult is a part of life, and difficult to me is irrelevant.
Thomas, if you got a second year with Caleb, how different would the offense look?
A lot different. I think from one standpoint of he's been through a season already won. So it's obviously some growing pains he's already worked through, but just from a foundational standpoint as far as the work in the offseason, I think if you want to be a great team, want to be a great quarterback, want to be a great player in general, it's built in the offseason, long before the cameras are on you, but long before you play a football game. So the foundational piece is going to be different. Obviously, understanding more about him and how he learns and how to communicate with him, but also what he needs to be at his best will be different because I have a chance to address that and approach that from day one. But also just overall his growth and development as far as a player will grow. So it would naturally be better because of that too.
Thomas, whether you're the coach next year or somebody else's, what will your message be to Ryan and Kevin when it comes to addressing what this organization needs or this locker room needs that you feel, that you've seen from the inside to turn the corner and actually become a winning team?
Yes, I've already begun that dialogue starting 5 weeks ago when I just first took over the interim head coach role as far as my thoughts of the roster, the personality of the guys in the locker room, the ability of the players, but also just the intangibles we need to have as far as a collective. Us being on the same page for sure is going to be a big part of that, like the collaborative effort, to moving in kind of a one focused mentality. But I've challenged every guy in a locker room to have a different perspective, have a different mentality, and ultimately the best teams are player led. So the more they control the locker room, of course, the head coach is important, coordinator is important, the scheme is important. But in between those lines, players play. So have an opportunity for them to address issues in the offseason to command and to get the respect they need from a locker room standpoint is going to be important. So we've already had those dialogues to some degree, but I'll go in deeper detail in my interview.
So what do you feel is missing?
It's not really a short answer to that question. So I don't have the time to go through everything I think is kind of missing. But I think from the standpoint of the culture being about the people, the foundational pieces that start first in the offseason, but the mentality of expecting and the belief to win and approaching that way every single day as far as how you go about your business, that's one thing that's missing.
Thompson, yourself,
Do you think that was the disconnect, is that everybody wasn't on the same page? That's what led to?
You know, I can't speak to that because I wasn't here before and I wasn't here at the beginning when the foundation was set. I just speak to my perspective of being around winning organizations and the ones that haven't been. That is one missing piece, just not being aligned as far as everyone moving in the same direction. But I also think I think shared accountability throughout the building, right? So we are all here because of the ball, and so we all get judged because of how the ball is. But we all in the building have to operate with the mentality of my job is important. I got to be excellent every single day for this whole thing to function the right way. So from how you deal with everybody, and from in the cafeteria to the janitorial service, everybody has to have a mentality of winning and being excellent and be held to that same standard.
one specific situation that happened,
I'll come back to
one specific situation of interest here that happened this season was Tyreek Stevenson with the Hail Mary play in Washington, and then the fallout of that, I guess, of being benched for a couple of series and him walking out of practice, things like that. As you look at that through a head coach's lens, this would be a big factor taking that job. How do you think that should have been handled?
Yeah, I've said several times that the confrontation is necessary. So Tariq and I've had a number of different dialogues one-on-one, and I think it's important when it comes to getting a message across as far as what's expected from every single player to address certain issues. I'm not going to speak about, how I would have handled it differently because it's already been transpired, so I'm not trying to, talk negatively about what did happen. But I think the understanding of what's required from all of us to be at our best. The one-on-one dialogues has to be important as well, but also understanding how every single player in your roster ticks to bring the best out of them.
As you reflect, what's your perspective on why this team wasn't able to activate the parachute during that 10-game losing streak?
Again, I think it's all a foundational issue from the very beginning of the mentality you have and expecting to win. And also not shying away from the adverse moments and the understanding of every guy in that locker room, every guy in that field, and every single phase, expecting and being demanding and held accountable to be at his best. Because most games in this league, boil down to one-score games, so that's not like it's a big shock or surprise. You'd rather just have multiple blowouts in back-to-back games. So that's kind of an understanding, but just the mentality of how not to fall apart in the critical moments. It's got to be taught from the very beginning.
Caleb talked about, and he said about he wants a coach that's going to challenge him. And he's talked specifically about what it's been like for you when you were promoted to head coach. How do you get through to him the most? What have you learned about just like what buttons he needs to have pushed to get the most out of him?
To me, it's honesty. I think one of the difficult parts about the quarterback position that I found is people baby the quarterback too much. And they worry more about being liked by the quarterback than telling what he needs to hear. It is by far and away the most difficult position to play. We all know that. But to whom much is given, much is required. And so I think one of the things we connected on at the beginning was I was honest from the get-go about what I wanted to bring to the table, but also what issues I saw in him. But my goal being about making him the best he can be. That is my goal in that role, and the roles moving forward. So I think it starts with that first. I think the understanding of how every player learns and how you can obviously do a really good job of being innovative and creative as far as how you approach that is always important, particularly that position. But I think just honesty, just being open, honest from a communication standpoint. Taking feedback, but also you're a coach for a reason, so coach him. And don't pass the buck, don't overlook issues because it won't just go away by itself. And I think the more time it goes by, of course, he'll grow and mature more, which is normal for any player, not just him. But I think the understanding of how to teach guys, not expecting guys to come in from day one and just have all the answers. Like, that's not realistic. And it shouldn't be the expectation. So, like I said before, from the very beginning, from a foundational standpoint, putting those things in place. I think collaboration piece is something you kind of get to as from a down the road as far as we work together. But the beginning, a little different than any other position, you coach them. You hold them accountable. And you show those guys how to be better.
Thomas, you said that an offense would look a lot different next season if you got a chance to work with Caleb. What does a Thomas Brown offense ideally look like?
Yeah, I think we'll see. So when I get the opportunity, but from a standpoint of using personnel the right way is to me how you build it. I think philosophically, I have some thoughts on that, which I'll share in my interview. It's got to be built around the personnel you have, how to put the guys in the right spot to have success, how to distribute the ball to the playmakers the right way, but also how to alleviate stress off the most stressful positions, which is the quarterback and O-line. And so to me, you do that first by being able to run the ball effectively, so you control the game, and obviously set everything up off of that when it comes to the movements, how you move the pocket, the play action pass game to push the ball down the field. You don't have to be a super dynamic running team to be effective at play action pass, but it for damn sure helps when it comes to dictating coverages, when it comes to guys having to honor every angle of the cut from a receiver standpoint, and then being to have a kind of a, for the most part, pretty progressive offense when it comes to the pass game, and obviously being great in situations. We talk about third down first, which starts first with winning on first and second down. Being effective in the red area, which comes again with playmaking ability by the quarterback. As you look at some of the best red zone teams across the league, is a lot of times it's off schedule plays by the QB, scramble mechanics, but also running the football at a high effective rate. And then when it comes to where Caleb has thrived a lot in 2-minute offense, so end of the half, end of the game, which is amazing. He is so good in those situations at a young age. It's going to be great for the future. When all of it comes together, but all those things plus and more will be how I see our offense coming together, because it's not going to just be mine.
You obviously have your philosophy on how you think to best lead a team to success as the head coach, but now having been thrown into this position, what do you know, maybe more so now, about what it takes collectively as an organization to be successful?
Yeah, I think shared accountability, shared responsibility, and a collective mentality as far as how you move forward, right? And so I think the more I'm around, not just in the NFL, but being in college, the more I think about how many people lack the courage to face issues is shocking to me. In a organization, in a team that's built around alpha personalities, or perceived alpha personalities, and then we expect things to change without addressing them. And so that is something that's always been apparent to me from when I first started coaching at Tennessee Chattanooga. And I think the older I've gotten, the more opportunities I've had to be in certain positions. And either it's a choice now, but at one time I was forced to not have to ignore certain issues. And I think the more guys we have that have the same mentality and understand how to demand more from ourselves from an expectation standpoint, and kind of share it around to the entire team, the better off we'll be. So,
How close do you think you guys are, Thomas? Realistically, how do you think this team is one major adjustment away? How do you look at that?
I don't know what's a major adjustment. I think that's kind of hard to tell. I think having some time to be able to step away and be more reflective, because I just stepped out of it a day ago, will give me a better perspective when it comes to that. Obviously, very difficult division, tough division. It's not going to get any weaker. But we'll love the opportunity for the challenge to go address that and move forward with it when that time comes. But I think probably not as far away as people may think we are when it comes to those missing pieces. But to me, it's more about the mentality, the culture change, and just the daily approach when it comes to putting yourself in a spot to go compete at the highest level.
Thomas, what's your most honest assessment of the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, I think continuity is a big part of the offensive line. We really haven't had continuity. So I think the more guys that you can have that are playing together in unison as one, all five, the better you're going to be. And so it's kind of hard to assess that based on this year, because we have so many guys in that lineup, going down one game, come back for 2 games later. So it's hard to address and assess it from there. That's obviously a position that sometimes gets undervalued until you have an issue, and everybody wants to make a big deal about it. But I think the offense has a run through that group. We talk about running the football effectively, pass protecting with the quarterback, but also him being on the same page as far as alleviating stress off with him when it comes to how he operates, getting the ball out on time. Those adjustments can kind of be handled from a quarterback standpoint.
Thank you.
Thank you.